Senior Runner here. Yes, they often say running is a pain in the arse. Well, in this video, we really are talking a pain in the arse. Indeed, we're talking piles. Yes, don't turn off if you're a middle-aged runner, because you're gonna be a senior runner soon. And believe you me, a lot of us fall into this. So without further ado, let's look into, can we run with piles? And if so, how on earth do we do it? Have I tried it? Yes, let's go into how do we run with piles. But no, seriously guys and girls, because it's not related to just men or women. It is a serious question. People who have been running for many years, decades in some cases, hit this issue, especially when you're a senior runner, and they seem to hit this misconception that you can't run with hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids, of course, piles are the same thing. They think that just the pain level of all this means that as soon as you get out that door and you run to the end of the street, you're going to be in so much agony you're just going to stop and turn round. Have I done that? Yes, I've got literally 300 yards around the corner, and I realised that I didn't do this properly, and certain things that we will discuss in a minute could have stopped me from that embarrassing moment of getting just down the road around the corner and thinking, no, we're going to walk back and we're going to give this one a rest, literally. So how do we do it is probably more of the reason for the video, because I've fallen into those traps where we go out running and we really want to get round there. We really want to do a run because, we've probably been in treatment a little bit, thinking we can do this, and you get out, and as soon as you get round the corner you think, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. How do we get over that, and how can we try and minimize perhaps the risk of getting around the corner and thinking, shit, shouldn't have done that? So let's go on into the main part of the video. So what are piles? Now, you can call them hemorrhoids, you can call them piles, you can call them pain in the arse, whichever one you want to call them, that's what we're talking about. Yes, it's embarrassing to talk about them. Believe you me, opening this video wasn't easy. But they are painful. They're extremely painful at their worst. They're cuts, lesions. If you ever had one, if you've got them, they bleed. And the cuts themselves can be very painful, and you've got to remember where they are. They're getting dirty, they're getting infections possibly, and you've really got to keep them clean. You've got to keep them treated, because the infection side of it as they're opening up is absolutely really very painful. I can't even tell you how painful they are. What comes from that is the problem, though. People think it's the hemorrhoids or the piles that are going to cause you to stop. And yes, that is painful, but there's a misconception in that, because you can control the pain coming from that using simple creams. There are lots of creams out there for piles. Anusol is one, and they basically numb the area from the by going over the cut and trying to make sure that it can try and heal, cover it, seal it, and try and stop the pain. And you feel the sting, and then it seems to just like wear off the pain, doesn't it? But that's not the issue. See, that really isn't the issue. The hemorrhoids tend to create an area of inflammation, and that's something else that the cream will try and do, try and pull down the inflammation. But when you get two pieces of skin that are rubbing together, the problem is they're both inflamed. You rub two pieces of inflamed skin together, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get scar tissue, you're going to get bleeding, you're going to get soreness. These are friction soreness. So this is really over a bigger area, and it starts to increase in pain and increase in the area that's giving you the pain very, very quickly should you start running with that area inflamed. So yes, it's extremely painful, the hemorrhoids themselves, but it's also important to say that as you're running, you've got to think about the other things that are going to get you into trouble, i.e., the friction burns and the potential to reopen the fact that things that you're doing are going to make things worse with regards to the piles. But there's another one thing that really doesn't come up in these videos, and that's the fact that you're going to release certain items of bodily excretions that are going to be involuntarily expelled, because it's around a gland that really needs to have control, and unfortunately when it gets that pain, it's not in full control all the time. And if you go running, you may have had your cream, but the actual gland is thinking, I know that this, I know what we've got, I know that it's cut, and I know I'm hurting, but it seems to just let stuff out, and unfortunately, I'm not going to say the word, unfortunately, that starts to create obviously the if you got it depends the constituency of it. It can act like a bit like sandpaper between the butt cheeks, which is not. I mean, it sounds hilarious to people who haven't had it, but I tell you what, when you're running with it, it stops you dead. You are not going to go any further. It's that painful, guys and girls. You stop and you're looking back and thinking, how far have I run? Because I can't even walk, let alone run. So you're trying to walk, and everybody's looking at you thinking, oh God, something's wrong there. So it is. I mean, it is laughable, but it's a serious question. So how can we stop these things from happening, or at least reduce the risk? Because unfortunately, a lot of people see this and think, I can't do this because it's gonna ruin my day. I'm gonna be so much in pain when I get back from this run. It's not worth the risk. Is it worth the risk? Let's go and have a look. So like I said, it's not off limits. It's just a case of trying to reduce the risk of getting 6 miles down the road. You're 6 miles back and you think, I can't even walk, let alone run. What have I done? Well, like I said, I know you've got things like certain creams like I mentioned before, and those creams can, like Anusol, can certainly numb the area. Yes, it stings when you put it on, and I tell you what, if it's stinging, you've still got them, but it will start to reduce the inflammation, and it will start to numb the feeling of those cuts and skin rubbing together. But do remember, they're still rubbing together even if you can't feel the pain. So you've got to be really clever about this, because you know that there are certain things that can happen, like involuntary excrement coming out, and it's going to happen. It tends to happen after about 10-15 minutes of running. So just at the point when you're far enough down the road to think, shit, it's going to be quite a run back, isn't it? It's going to be quite a hobble back. It's going to hit. So we need to be advising you how to reduce the risk of the cuts themselves and the piles themselves stopping you from running. The cream is great. It stops you from feeling the pain, and it stops you from noticing the fact that they're there. And actually, it can work for quite a while. So, one application of this 10-15 minutes before the run is actually quite enough to get you running through a decent enough training run. Could it do it for a half marathon? I think it could. I think you'd have to put it on, like I say, 10-20 minutes before and just let it ease into you've got to have it at least 20 minutes to try and reduce the inflammation. You see, there's no use putting it on 5 minutes before and it's setting off, because the inflammation hasn't settled down. So you need to make sure that you're standing there and thinking, yeah, I can't feel any pain, I can't feel any friction from the inflammation. I feel good. Then you can set off running. Could you do a full marathon? That's pushing it. I think that is pushing it. I think you could do it. I think you may have to keep a tube in your pocket just in case. Just in case you're thinking, it's starting to hurt now. Can I just numb it off for another 10 mile? But for me, yes, it probably could. If you really did do this properly, enough on there to make everything stop that swelling and bring it back down again. So we've reduced the swelling, we've stopped the cuts from actually emitting blood. They tend to stop that side of it, and they stop the pain by making it just not, you don't feel it, and numb it down a little bit. But like I said, they are there. Now, the important thing here is clothing. Now, people don't think about this, but when you think about it, it's obvious, isn't it? Now, let's talk female and male, because this is really, really important. With a female, those tight shorts, tight lycra shorts they wear, they go straight up the neck of their... Oh, actually, they're extremely good. And you know why? Because even if you have an accidental moment and something seeps out, yes, somebody's going to see you from behind, possibly, but having 2 layers of lycra in between the cheeks, it's the lycra rubbing against lycra. There's not as much movement of skin. There's no movement of skin against skin. There's very little movement of lycra against skin with whatever's come out in the middle. And I know it sounds horrible to discuss it, but it needs discussing. Clothing actually down the neck there actually does help. Tight clothing that pulls the butt cheeks together, apart, and keeps them nice and nicely located, so that if anything happens, there's no friction. Really, really does help. And I know that a lot of women wear these tight things, and actually, I can see senior runners, the women amongst us, thinking, I can't wear things like that at my age. But I tell you what, if it stops the friction and if it stops a lot of the pain, we're talking a lot of it. It's a huge point that we're missing there. And you can actually get away with a run, and even if worse things happen, what's the worst can happen? Well, there's no friction going to happen. You may get stuff coming out, but hey, that's not going to matter if it's tight and the clothing's good. So clothing is absolutely amazingly important, especially for the women. Well, it is for the men. Let's go to the men. Look, baggy clothing is one thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with this, because we really do need to hold those cheeks and make sure that if anything does happen, we can minimize the friction between the cheeks, which means, unfortunately, if we have to wear underwear that's gonna nicely separate the cheeks and sit in the middle, we may have to do it. What I have also done is get pant liners. There's no shame in it, guys. And women can do it as well if they're not wanting to wear the tight bottoms. A pant liner there stops it from showing straight through to people behind you. They don't really want to see that you're having such an issue. And you don't want them to see it, let's face it. So pant liners are good aesthetically. They also soak up a lot of the liquid side of it. So if you can get that liquid out, it can slow down the friction or the effects of the friction. So the clothing really is important here, and that really has to be one of the main items here. Treat it well and wear the right clothing. But I can hear you all saying, but can I always run then? Well, no, because like I said before, once you put the cream on, once you've taken the advice from the doctor and they've said what will be best for you, whether it be one of these tablets they push in, or whether it be the cream, you've got to give it time to work. You've got to give it time to numb the area, to stop the pain. When you've got to that point, it's always important to think, can I get round here without nipping off to the nearest WC, the nearest toilet? Because as soon as you do that, you've then pushed away the cream, and some of that is now starting to grind away at the cuts, and it will start to hurt again. So you've got to think about your run before you do it. The things I would be thinking myself is, how far am I running? Am I likely to want to stop at the toilet in there's a village about 3.25 mile away. It's got a toilet in it. I can stop there. But if I do, I've got to have a plan. So when I start off, I'm thinking, look, it's long enough distance. If I need to go to the loo, I can clean up there and I can set off back. But we're doing that at the beginning. So at the beginning, we think, how far in advance have I put in the cream, and is it working? Has it fully worked? If I sort of just give it a quick jog on the spot, can I feel any discomfort at all? Can I feel that anything might be coming out? And I tell you what, that tends to occur after about as quickly as 10 minutes running. So perhaps a quick walk up and down the road for 5-10 minutes is a good idea. So before you run, am I feeling okay? Has it numbed things off? Do a quick 5-10 minute walk, because if anything's going to work its way out, you're going to find out that you're going to feel the discomfort of something there against that numbness of where the cream is, and you just feel it in there. That's going to come out while I'm running. Do I want to do this? You know your own body. Maybe you know that when you're feeling like that, I can probably get away with a 1 or 2 mile jog, but no more. So you'll have to take it seriously, because that sort of stuff is like sandpaper. Will stop you, will halt you, and you can't even walk back, let alone run. So they're the things that you're going to start off with at the beginning. When you're doing the actual run, you've got to think about this beforehand, of course. When you're doing the actual run, you get to that point where there's a loo and you think, damn it, I'm going to have to go in and at least clean up and see whether I'm okay. If you're okay, you can come back. Absolutely. For me, 3.25 mile there, 3.25 mile back. Brilliant. But if I stop there and it's not looking good, I have to clean up completely and I have to wait. Please wait, because there's no point in rushing. This isn't something you can rush. In my case, I'm 3.25 miles away. I'm not going to be able to just set off back and start the sandpaper treatment and end up crawling down the road on all fours, because I tell you what, it's that painful. And getting back in sort of 2 or 3 hours time. I kid you not. You've really got to think about, right, is there a cafe there? Is there a pub there? Can we have a drink of orange juice somewhere, or a little bit of a bite to eat and just sit there? Perhaps, like I said, I would take your cream. Because if you clean up, you're going to have to reapply the cream. And what do you need to do? You have to wait 20 minutes at least. So you're going to have to wait 15, 20 minutes. Make sure it's really done its job, and make sure that we can now do a little bit of a jog back. The problem, of course, when you start your jog back is how much damage did it do before you got to the toilet. If you really did think, I'm pushing it to get to the loo, that's about half a mile away, and it's starting to hurt, how much friction have you caused? How much skin damage have you caused? And for that, I would certainly be thinking Vaseline. Vaseline is one of the runners' brilliant. So, it's you can get those little jars, and they really are like just a couple of fingers full of Vaseline. They are brilliant. They can really make things so much easier for the friction. I would be taking it. I would certainly be putting it on beforehand. And yeah, if you stop halfway for the loo, you've got to be thinking about reapplying it again there. The Vaseline stops a lot of the friction. I say a lot because the damage from the excretions coming out can act like pure sandpaper even against Vaseline, but it can stop a lot of the friction, which is a major issue here, because it's the inflammation and the skin against skin that will cause even that inflammation to get even worse and start to make a lot of adhesions and blood, and you really don't want doing that, because you'll be crawling back. So is it possible? Yes. How is it possible? Take a wander to the doctor and ask them what the best course of treatment for you is. They'll tell you your treatment, and then you take that 20 minutes before, 30 minutes before. I would say 20 minutes before has been about right for me. Take that 20 minutes before and go off and do your run. If you feel that has worked, if you can't feel any inflammation down there's no excess rubbing that shouldn't be rubbing, take the 5-10 minute walk, absolutely 100% all the time. Don't squint on it, don't forget it, don't say I don't need to do that 5-minute walk, I'm okay. Do the 5-minute walk. You really don't know what's going to happen until you finish the 5-minute walk. Then you can make a decision. Do you run or do you not? Don't force yourself into the run. If you've done that 5-minute walk and you think, I can't risk it, don't risk it. It's your health. If you get stuck and you thought you could do it, and you just get 100 yards, I got literally 100 yards around the corner, and you think there's a risk here, I'm going to get stuck. Yep. 4 or 5 mile away and unable to, I'm going to have to phone someone to drive me home. It's simple as that. Then make the decision to stop and hobble back, or get someone to drive you back. Even if it's 100 yards away, you are going to cause a lot of damage. So always think about these things before you set off and think, what's the risk of this getting worse? What's the risk of me getting caught somewhere where I'm going to have to phone somebody up? Now, just as a finish to this, you know, when you're running, you're thinking, I could do this, but what if I'm okay at the minute, but I'm doing like I say, 3.25 mile there, 3.25 mile back. Even if I get to the halfway point, the loser there, I'm fine, and I turn back. What happens? There's always that thought of what happens if. Now, if you're thinking, you're worried about stopping and getting caught on that way back, do remember these things are serious. You need to have someone ready and available to pick you up. And I can't stress the importance of that enough. You have to make sure that you've got somebody that can pick you up. Because believe you me, if you hobble back, and I say this because I've done it, you cannot hobble back. You really can't. You really can't. Just believe it. It's like sandpaper cheeks, and every stride you've got that grimace on your face, and you know that you're causing yourself more damage. Don't cause yourself untold damage. Pick up the phone, take your phone in the first place, and phone a friend and just say, I'm sorry, mate, to contact you, but you're going to have to pick me up. I really cannot get... I've done it. And just try not to put them in a bad situation by explaining it too precisely. Just explain it beforehand that I'm going for a few runs over the next few weeks, and got an issue, what it is, and say, would you be willing to pick me up should I get into trouble? Because believe you me, it's one thing to try and make sure that there's less risk, and there's one thing to say the risk's too great, I'm going to stay in the house, which you have to do if that's what you believe. But it's another to get halfway and think that you can crawl back. You cannot. So always make sure you've got that third person or second person, third person to pick you up. Because I tell you what, you ain't going to be wanting to walk. You're not going to be wanting to walk 2-3 miles. I mean, even that 100 yards around the corner. If anybody saw me, they must have thought I was like a 110-year-old. But yes, you can run with this, and you absolutely should. So just a summary. Listen to your body. Make sure you're listening to and feeling those the things that aren't right, the things that are certainly not what you would expect if you didn't have this condition. Think of the pain, creams and other things that can stop the pain. The swelling, you can quite often feel the swelling. Can you feel something that's just not quite right inside the gland? Are you worried that something's there that just feels like it's going to get released involuntary? You're not going to stop it. Do I stop it? Do I go to the loo? Absolutely not. If you're 20 minutes in, remember, as soon as you've gone to the loo, you've ruined all of that treatment. So you've put your Vaseline on, absolute must. You've put your cream on, or your whatever else that the doctor's given you, absolute must. But if you go to the loo and you're just about to step out that door, please do not. Remember, you've just ruined all your treatment, and you now need to look at the sanitary side and make sure you're absolutely clean. I've even gone as far as having a shower, because I went to the loo and thought, no, we need to absolutely have a shower, clean off, wash off, and then we need to go out again, clean, tidy, with fresh cream on and fresh Vaseline, and get out there. Can we do it? Absolutely. I still reiterate, you can run with this. It's just that you have to listen to your body, and you have to do what's right for you, which includes, like I said, phone a friend, making sure you're not going to get stuck in the middle of nowhere with only one option of crawling up the road. It is painful, but it's a controllable pain. Things can go wrong, but we can control the risk of that, and we can control the likelihood of it happening with the creams, Vaselines, and things like that. And, like I said, clothing. Don't forget the clothing. And with that said, if you like what you've heard, unfortunately, if you like what you've heard, do like and subscribe. You know me, I like to try things. Unfortunately, I've had to try this. So, if you've got any comments, do like, subscribe, and give me a comment down below. It's Senior Runner with another painful video. Thank you for watching.